Thank you for joining us today for another exclusive interview sponsored by Immovet. Help your horses reach their maximum potential with Immovet's line of natural homeopathic products. I'm your host today, Aurelian Drumian. Today, we have the pleasure of interviewing Dean Lavy from Shahania, one of the premier names in Arabian racing. With the UAE President Cups now offering an impressive 8 million dirham purse, we'll dive into how this reflects the growing prestige of the sport, as well as Al Shahania's preparation for major races across the Gulf region. Join us as we explore their breeding excellence, recent farm advancement, and the future goals that keeps Al Shahania at the forefront of Arabian racing. Stay tuned for an inspiring conversation with Dean Lavy. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much. Again, it's always much appreciated, and I enjoy this. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Always a pleasure to have you for sure. So, Dean, as I mentioned just right now, with
Yes.
the UAE President's Cup now offering this impressive 8 million dirham, how does this reflect, the growing prestige of Arabian racing, and which horses are you considering, for this event?
Yeah, I mean the increase in prize money, obviously we always like that. Gives an opportunity, but I think also it's very intriguing for the international groups to want to come, not just within the GCC countries.
Okay.
I think it draws a big interest from Europe, especially with the timing in December. The season's over in Europe for most everything, and so it's a good opportunity for them to carry on. And that too, and then the pressure of Abu Dhabi doing this, puts pressure on Dubai, puts pressure on Qatar, puts pressure on Saudi, because everybody wants their race to be the richest and the best. And so, I think it makes it more competitive to continue to increase the prize money with the other countries. So for me, it's a great thing. And yeah, we do have we've obviously there's some entries we've done already for this. We need to see how it goes, but we've got a couple, 3 or 4 horses that we have in mind for hopefully for that race. Harib, who's a Merit Alsara colt, Bashir, who's a Jaffer colt. Then we've got a nice burning sand colt called AA Feels a Burn, who was third in the Amir Sword last year. He ran behind Abbas and Al Gadir, so he's a very competitive horse. Um, and then there's one filly we're looking at, maybe Nazwa. But we need to see those run here. Unfortunately, our season started a little bit late this year. They're doing some new work on the track at the QREC. And so it got delayed by 3 weeks. So we just started running November 7th. So we're not too far into the season, but there's enough time so some of these we have to have a run first and then obviously see how they come out of the race and if we want to target that. But yeah, we have in mind right now to look at Abu Dhabi for sure.
Excellent. It's very interesting, yes, that each country, especially in this region, which is, I mean, fairly small in a way, competing against each other.
Yes, no, this is what drives it, because like I said, there's the passion of having the biggest and the best race. So, at the end of the day, it's going to push everybody. Our prize money has gone up over the years because of the introduction of Saudi coming involved. Uh, Kahala Classic is actually reduced a little bit, but maybe that'll pressure them to go back up because I think for a while Kahala was $1 million and now it's 750,000 or something like that.
Oh,
But
wow.
um, um, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think it's always good to have the competition as a driving force for sure.
Definitely. So
Yes.
Al Shahania has consistently, produced top performers. What upcoming races, specifically, in this region, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, have you targeted for your string this season?
Well, we're obviously looking at Abu Dhabi. We will look at Dubai. Saudi is difficult for us because of the timing. They're 1 week from the Amir Sword. So we have the Amir Sword 3-day weekend on the 15th through the 17th, and then Saudi's the next weekend. So obviously being Qatar based, um, our main focus is here
Sure.
in Qatar. And if we have the right number and the right amount of numbers, and we have a couple horses that we would consider for each race, then we can. But it's impossible for us to run back to back. And unfortunately, that weekend of the Amir Sword here has obviously multiple races over many different distances. And so it's difficult for us sometimes. So there was talk about the schedule changing because of this, but it hasn't been done yet.
Okay.
Because Dubai's perfect. It's 1 month from us. So it gives us 4 to 5 weeks to get ready, if we have something for the Kahila Classic. Um, but the Amir Sword, obviously, for our owner, is very prestigious. It's his country, and so we wanna have everything we can for that weekend, and try to have a couple horses in the Amir Sword event. And so, and then there's sprint races, mile races, in between races, and so we use a lot of our horses, and that's our main target this time of year. Then obviously, we're based in France as well. So then summer comes, we have other races. We've got Goodwood, we've got Deauville, we've got, stuff in Toulouse. And then obviously we want to focus with the young horses, the 3-year-olds for St. Cloud, and then the older horses for the Arc de Triomphe race if we have them. So, there's that focus. We're already, trying to think that far ahead.
Wow.
And but it's always how the horse do, how well they come out of the races. Can you get there? It's a long time. It's a lot of racing. It's a long season. And but yeah, we're lucky in that aspect that we got quite a few horses, and so we'll see what happens.
Definitely. There's definitely a lot of factors involved, especially, looking so far ahead, I guess, towards European races. And yeah.
Yeah, even this circuit, here now we're talking about February, March. We're down the road 3 months, 4 months. So a lot of things have to fall in place and happen correctly to get to that point. And like the Cahala being on the dirt is a different race. We're mainly turf right horses,
Hmm.
95%. So we've got to find that dirt horse as well every year. And our pedigrees are mostly grass, but we're going to run a nice colt next week on the dirt. We'll run a couple on the dirt to see how they handle it, with the mind of 4 months down the road. And then if they continue to progress here, we go back on the turf. At least we know they can handle the dirt, and then that makes our decision.
That's true. That's
Yes.
great. I'd like to talk to you a bit more about the farm itself. So, what recent developments at the farm, do you think contributed to maintaining Al Shahania's position as a leading force in Arabian racing?
I'm sorry. Can you the first
Yeah,
part of that question?
what recent developments at the farm?
Development. You mean activity on the farm? And
Yeah.
yeah, well, we tried to continue to evolve, whether it be from our clinic care, our doctor, our care,
Mhm.
to exercise equipment. We've got a full 2,000-meter dirt and turf track here. We got starting gates here. We've got swimming pool here. We've got treadmills here. We've got spas here. We have the chiropractors come in, and this kind of thing. And so it's just you try to stay on top of, especially new products and things that may help, maintain the health of the horse, to relieve pain, to relieve stress out of the horse. These kind of things you need to stay on top of. So we're always looking, at products. I got somebody coming tomorrow, that's coming from the UK to present some products for racehorses, this kind of thing. And you have to keep your mind open always. It's
Well, it's true.
for me, you got to continue to improve and educate yourself, and look at everything and stay open, and not just stay focused on what you're doing only, but look for the future, because it's always changing. It's always changing.
And technology is making so much
It's
progress. And
huge,
difference. Yeah, it's amazing
huge,
for sure. For
huge.
sure.
I mean, we use the training device where you put it on the saddles. of the horses that gives you stride length, speed, the
Wow,
balance of the riders, this kind of thing. And then it all comes back on a computer and you can put your works together and it'll graph it for you and it does this, and this is a big tool as well. And so, yeah, it's pretty technical.
sure.
Obviously, the world's gone that way, and we have to go that way as well.
That's true. That's true. You can't really allow yourself to fall behind in a way. I mean,
No, no, exactly,
very
exactly.
well. So the Arabian racing calendar has become, as we mentioned, very international. How do you
Mm.
plan and prepare your horses for campaigns across, different golf racing jurisdictions?
The horses that you're considering for that type of schedule
Hmm.
are obviously some of your top horses.
Sure.
You're not gonna take your average horse outside and run in the big races. So those are horses you have to kind of baby a little bit.
Okay.
They don't need to run a lot, but you got to keep them fit, and so you have to be careful with them. And those are kind of horses, like from November to February, I mean, to April, may only run 4 times, 5 times. You got to, especially if you have those kind of races as targeted races. Obviously they got to be in condition, and it's hard to simulate racing condition and training. You can get close, but you can never simulate a race, with a lot of competitors in it on the training track. So you've got to run too. You can't be totally complacent, so it's a balance. It's a real
Mhm.
balance.
Very
So,
well.
and that's what we try to do. I mean, they're those kind of, as like any football team or something like this. I mean, they're special athletes, and they are not out there doing 90 minutes every game. Those kind of guys, not usually. You gotta, you know. So that's what we do with the horses too.
Any differences between all those different, countries or different racing, like not facilities, but more like technically speaking?
I mean, everybody's different. Everywhere's different. That's what makes it such a neat industry too, because there's a lot of factors. Even for us, maybe could typically like the UAE and this, maybe the conditions are a little bit more mild as far as weather. We're a little bit warmer, but then I think Saudi's even warmer than we are, and the conditions, uh, you know, make a big play in it, and having the facilities. Most places have the facilities,
Sure.
the
I know.
vetting, all this stuff. It's changed a lot in the Middle East. I've been here 12 years now, and I've seen a huge improvement. Obviously, Dubai was one of the first ones to get on board with a very advanced veterinary for camels racing this. And now you're seeing it, Oman, Abu Dhabi, Saudi, especially now, is really growing like crazy. And I was just there for a few days and went around, and it's changed a lot. I mean, if they
Wow.
get done what they say, it's going to be spectacular in a few more years for sure.
Wow.
Sure.
That is
Yes.
pretty
Yeah.
exciting and amazing for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
Al Shahania is very well known for its breeding excellence. Could you tell me a little bit more about any exciting young prospects, we might see debuting this season?
Yeah, we're very fortunate. Sheikh Mohammed's obviously started, 30 some years ago, and built a very nice broodmare band with some fantastic bloodlines, and maintaining those. You know, a key thing for us is having athletic mares that
Mhm.
were a little bit athletic themselves. Um, and then the families are very important. So yeah, we've got a few young horses here in Doha and in France. We don't have too many in training right now in France because the season's over, but we've brought some youngsters over from France, and yeah, we've got a horse called Gebron, who's an Amur Margoya. So he's a full brother to Asi and Manya, 3-year old, just getting started here. He ran in France, okay, but we think he'll improve here and like the ground and the conditions. Obviously, those two did. They liked it here a lot. We've got another Ammer out of a French mare who's turned 4 now, but we took it easy on him last year because he was very big. Uh, we've got an Almutajaz 3-year old out of Ballador, So he's a half brother to Amir D. Soleil, who was a nice Group One horse. We got a nice TM for a Texas filly called Makilat out of Makifa, who was a ARC winner. And she had a nice season last year as a young horse, and she's really matured well. So we have some expectations for her. I've got a Burning Sand. Colt's going to run next week on the dirt. This is one we're going to try on the dirt. He was a 3-year-old last year. We only ran him a few times, but he was impressive, and he's developed nicely. So yeah, we've got some, and he's turning 4, but I mean, he's lightly raced, and so he's fairly new prospect. So yeah, like I said, we're fortunate enough to have, we've got around 60 mares total. We had more than that, but we've trimmed it down to try to just keep the best of the best. And so we always have lovely pedigrees. That doesn't necessarily make the athletes, so we got to give them a try. And, you never know where it's going to come from. And then, we've got some of the older guys that are still around. We've got this Field of Burn colt I told you about, a Burning Sand. I think he's capable of running on the dirt. He'll probably make his first run next month in the National Day Cup here. Nice horse. Like I said, he ran third last year to Abbas and Al Gadir, so he's got some ability for sure. Maybe he'll improve a little bit this year. We've got Hargon, who is a group horse in France, came here last year, and we struggled to figure him out. And then Rudy, our trainer, came up with an idea to sprint him 1,200 meters, and he turned into a kind of a rock star for us at sprinting.
Wow.
So he's good. And then we've got Samla, who's an Aussie colt, who was a good group winner in France. And then he came here to Doha 2 years ago and won the international race here. And now he's based in Doha. So
Okay.
this will be his first full-time staying here. So we're excited about him here too. So yeah, we've got some stuff, but like I said, everything's got to click and everything's got to fall in place. And horses are very humbling creatures. So we can talk about them, but they decide at the end of the day. They decide.
That's very
So,
true. That's very
so
true.
yes.
Any difficulties, managing like horse preparation across different tracks, different conditions?
If you're talking about traveling, it's not too bad now because if it's close enough, they go by van or they fly now a lot. And transportation is very easy to travel a horse all over the world, and it's easily done.
Maybe
And
more
then
depending on the horse personality itself, I guess.
yeah, a lot of it, yes. And no, really, like I said, at most places the facilities are good enough, and it's okay. And here's a factor. I mean, the Middle East is a tough region,
Sure.
especially when it's hot. I mean, luckily the racing seasons they usually target with their cooler weather.
Mhm.
Now it's beautiful in Doha, and it'll stay that way until April, May. Before the really extreme heat comes in, and so you always got to be leery of that. But yeah, that makes it tough. But now too, logistically, things have changed so much. When I first came, everything, all your products came from outside. You had to order 6, 8 weeks in advance to make sure you're stocked. This now most things that even like I said, Saudi, Dubai, Abu Dhabi. I mean, it's grown so much and improved so much. We're much more self-sufficient now, and we don't have to go to Europe or America to get some products now. A
It's
lot of
just,
companies have started here. The
wow,
veterinary supplies, this thing, it's all changed a lot. So it's getting a little bit easier logistically for sure.
that's great.
Yes.
Any big recent developments, happened at the farm recently?
Not really. We built some new stables. It's just maintaining. Like I said, we've got a track. We've got all of our horses get turned out. We have lots of paddocks, grass, sand. We like our horses outside as much as they can, especially this time of year. They can get out. No, it's just maintaining everything, and you know we added a treadmill or two, maybe another lunge ring, but with the track, with the swimming pools, with the walkers, we're pretty set on equipment. What we're looking at now is more technology based things, like I told you, this chip you put on your horses, the computer based. And then obviously there's therapies. Now you got your physical therapists, you got your chiropractors,
Oh,
you got
wow.
your magnetic blankets, you got your shockwave therapy, you got your vibrating plates, you got all this stuff, that you
Wow.
do. And once you get your facility done, there's only so much
That's
other
true.
than keeping up with the times on what's new, what's trending, what's,
True.
as far as a treatment of the horse and this kind of thing is important.
Fair enough. And having a good team, I guess, definitely helps out
100%. The team makes it all.
for sure.
I mean, I think we discussed this before. I give everybody credit from the people that cut the grass to because it takes all of us as a team. It's the administrative staff, everybody that does that works on the farm. If you don't have a good team, it makes it very difficult.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Your breeding program, has produced numerous champions. Which current stallions and mares are you most excited about for the future?
Well, we've got a lot of mares. Like I said, I mentioned a
You
few.
did mention quite a
Um, Stallions, we obviously have our own base of stallions, which we use and promote. We've got Merito Sahara a little bit, not too much. He's getting old, but we've got Aussie. And then new Ebras has babies this year
okay.
for the first time, and we're very pleased with what we're seeing. Gazwan's horses are now 3-year-olds on the track, so next year will be 4-year-olds. And he had some good success. We were a little bit surprised to see 3-year-olds from him. We thought they'd be more 4 and 5-year-old types, but we're excited that they're a little precocious too. And he's had some group horses in France. He's had some winners in Saudi. So we're excited about him. And then a new horse also, who's a TM Fred Texas horse, is Methgal. He'll be on board for the first time next year. He was a very good, miler, sprinter, powerful, and he's a bit of an outcross. He's out of a Ammer mare, but he's by TM Fred Texas, which is burning sand. So it's not an Ammer stallion, which is important too, because Ammer's essentially gone, for most people. He's been out for the last few years, so you got to look to other stallions. And then in France, we like Azadi, we like AF Al Barak, we like Al Bahar. I like Al Mutajaz has been extremely successful. Those would probably be the 4 top producing stallions in France right now for the last 2 years, last year and this year. And so we like to go with the proven lines. We always like to try to find one, we'll try 1 or 2 mares, just something a little obscure, because you're always looking for the different one too. You want to breed your base of your mares to proven lines. And then, if like Ebras was new last year, Methgal's new, we have to support them, and we're going to support them with good mares. But
Wow,
that's a bit of an experiment because we don't know if they're going to if they're going to produce racehorses or not. So you throw some mares on them, and then you look outside to a few young stallions that maybe weren't superstars on the track, but you like the pedigree and their physical. And if you have a chance to see their babies or yearlings or something, you got to give a couple other horses a try too, because you always got to be looking for something different.
for sure. It is definitely a bit of an experiment at some point,
Yes, for sure.
for sure.
For sure.
With increasing prize money and prestige, so we mentioned how, the region can be very competitive. How has Al Shahania adapted its program to remain competitive?
That's getting harder and harder. This is the truth because we're getting more players involved,
For sure.
which is fantastic for the sport, but then it puts more pressure on us because the more people that get in, because the Arabian racing was pretty niche group of people for a long time. I mean, the first 25 years, there was 3 big players, and now maybe not big players, but lots of players with quality horses have come into play in the last couple of years, and this changes things. They change the breedings, they change the way we do things. We saw a trend 2 years ago where before it was, you had a couple 3-year-olds, but we didn't push the horses for 3 years old. Now you're seeing a lot more speed factored into the racing. I think we discussed this last year too. And, that's still a factor. The speed was never much of an issue before, but now we're seeing it, and we're seeing more precocious 3-year-olds running at 3. And so this pushes you a little bit to have a few 3-year-olds. We don't get too excited about that. If the horse is ready, he's ready. If he's not, he's not. But a lot of people push for that. But we
Sure.
also see a lot of 3-year-olds that we don't see them again at 4. So the Arabs have longevity. They can run till they're 8 or 9. So, and some of them you see get their best at 5 and 6
Yeah.
and run till they're 8 or 9. And so especially our lines, our old French lines, are kind of like that. So we push the ones that we can push, and the others we give them time, and it's a good combination. It's a good combination, but it's
Great.
definitely getting more competitive, big time, big time.
In terms of long-term developments and goals, so you did mention a few things about, early next year and maybe mid next year as
Mm.
well. What will be the long-term development and goals that, you are working towards at Al Shahania? Maybe farther down the road than, just next year.
Well, yeah, I think the longest term goal that you look at is your breeding program,
Hmm.
because what I do today is 4 years before I see my product. So this is, because the mare carries it for a year, and then, typically they're 3 to 4 before you see them on the track. So this is the big thing to stay on top of, is always changing, looking, trying to make a decision based off of foals, yearlings, is your breeding program right? Because that's the longevity at the end. Unless a new race is added to the program or something like this, the racing schedule pretty much stays the same. We want to target, Europe's Goodwood. Like I said, there's Deauville, there's Toulouse, there's St. Cloud, there's Longchamp, this kind of thing. And then you come to the Middle East, and there's, Saudi, there's Qatar, there's Abu Dhabi, there's Dubai. Those will always be on the list to target. So it's having the horses for it. And at the end of the day, it's your breeding program that's going to get you there. So we don't have the babies, the trainers don't have horses. So we got to make the babies, and hopefully we're creating athletes.
For sure.
And that's the biggest challenge. That's the
That is
biggest challenge. Because I
definitely,
think we discussed this before too. I think the percentages are still the same. A group 1 horse is 1% of the horses.
Mhm.
So 99% chance you're not going to be at that level. It doesn't
Wow.
mean you have to be at that level, but it's something like that. It's 1.2 or something like this of horses are group 1 level. So it's a very small percentage that make it to that point. So you got to give it a go. And then there's a lot of obviously group 2, group 3 listed black type things that are very nice horses that you have, but to compete about those races we're talking about, it's a slim number of horses that get there. So it's a tough game.
Tough game, tough competition, I
Yes.
can imagine for sure. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Being,
you. It's as always. This
as
is a
always, it was a
treat for
pleasure.
me, and I enjoy this interview always.
Definitely, definitely. I wish you the best for the
Okay.
upcoming months, definitely.
Thank you.
Looking
I
forward to talking
appreciate
with
it.
you afterwards as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
See you. Bye.